I hereby call the meeting of the Mayor and Board of Commissioners to order at this time. We'll stand for the invocation, which will be the Lord's Prayer, Pledge of Allegiance, and Eddie, I'll ask you to lead the Pledge of Allegiance. Lord's Prayer, please.
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, power, glory, and forever. Amen.
Attention to salute the pledge. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Hughes. Here. Commissioner Mosier.
Here.
Commissioner Richardson.
Here.
Commissioner West.
Here.
Commissioner Stockton.
Here. The minutes for January were in your packet. I hope you've had a chance to look those over. Regarding the minutes, do I hear a motion to accept?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? If not, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise, motion does carry. The recorder has a report for the December distributions.
In the general fund on page 1, $10,193.55 for fuel. We have started seeing increases on that each month. Further down, employee and employer portions of health insurance to Cigna, $42,646.37. Page 2 in the general fund, we paid our annual fee to Leads Online, which is a software that police detectives use, $2,191.84. Local government corporation, we switched over our payroll software, and that was $5,900.65. We made a payment on the audit to Mitchell, Emmert, and Hill, $10,000 even. Further down, you'll find a purchase of $5,237.18 for Safe Industries. That was for fire. Page 3 had nothing significant on it, nor page 4. In State Street Aid, we didn't have anything significant, but I did want to point out that the revenue is trending just slightly higher. We talked about that in the quarterly report, but again, this month it was just a little bit higher than what we had planned in the budget. In drug fund, nothing significant. The tourism fund, we had several purchases that were just clearing from the Rural Tourism Conference and Small Town Christmas. The small town, both of those are on the credit card. They were $2,438.25. And then we did do an annual co-op ad in the state's vacation guide that we split with the Monroe County Tourism, and that's $2,160 for the year. The library report is in there, as well as home grant. We are going to be doing another bid on the last complete build for the home grant. We've advertised for bids on that, so hopefully we'll be wrapping that one up in several more months. And then in solid waste, you'll see we had revenues of $25,153.90, and we paid out a garbage contract $22,229.53, and then we paid a couple of landfill charges to Republic Services. We're probably getting to the point in solid waste that our revenues are again less than what our expenditures are. So in next year's budget, I'll be working with you all probably to move the landfill expenses back out of the sanitation fund and take them out of general fund, because we do have to maintain a certain fund balance in order to get our budget passed for that fund. So we'll probably end up having general fund having to pay those landfill charges. Again, that amounts to somewhere between $35,000 and $40,000 each year. So that probably needs to start coming out of general fund again instead of just out of the sanitation fund, because we won't have enough to cover that for next year.
Okay, thank you, Jessica. Do I hear a motion to accept?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion, any questions? If not, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise, motion does carry. We will now open a public hearing for ordinance number 995, a rezoning off of High Street. We talked about this last week, John, or 2 weeks ago. John went over that with us. Is there anyone here to make a statement about ordinance number 995? Seeing none, the public hearing is now closed. In old business, we now have ordinance number 995 to rezone on final reading. Ordinance number 995, partial map 8.03, Group A of tax map 033B from R1 to R2 on second and final reading. This is a recommendation from the Planning Commission also. Do I hear a motion?
Make a motion for approval of ordinance 995 as submitted. Second.
Any questions on this? If not, all in favor, aye? Oh, roll call vote on this. Roll call.
Commissioner Hughes,
Aye.
Commissioner Mosier,
Aye.
Commissioner Richardson,
Aye.
Commissioner West, Commissioner Stockton.
Aye.
Good. Motion does carry. Under new business, appointment to Building Code Board of Review. We have a vacancy. I asked Jason Dacus to serve on this board. Do I hear a motion for approval?
So moved. Second.
Are there any questions? Randy McCool was on there and his health is not good, and he requested to be off of it. So all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed likewise, motion does carry. The library director presented the annual report in the workshop and has submitted their board's approval for the proposed budget. The city needs to approve their budget prior to June. If you're ready, do I hear a motion and second to approve the budget?
I move to approve the library budget.
Motion's been made and second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise, motion does carry. It's good to have with us Tim Rasmussen with us here today of the SBCA. He wants to give a report on what's going on with the Sweetwater Valley Citizens for the Arts. He's doing a good job. I've met with him a couple of times, and seems like to me he's got things rolling pretty good. So Tim, I'll turn it over to you at this time.
Thank you, if I might.
Yeah. You might have to push that button down.
Oh, I'm familiar with it.
You put it in.
I did. I hope this is working. Can you hear me okay? Do a level check there? Hello there. Am I in there somewhere? It's all right. I'll speak up. Not a problem. It's been about 3 years, I guess, since anybody's really come before you, because the last 2 years it was sort of rudderless and nobody was really in charge. And during those 2 years, we lapsed a lot in our requirements to the state. When I took over, I realized in short order that we were not able to do any requests for funding of any kind, or we could not apply for grants because we weren't up to date with the paperwork. So during the course, I got together with Glenn Edwards, who's my right-hand man, I'll tell you. He's done a marvelous job. We're fully current with the state now. Starting this year, we'll be able to create the fundraising events. We'll be able to create grants for a lot of the projects that we're looking to do. But I would like to recap last year, because when we walked in, it's hard to breathe.
Take that off if you'd like.
Please, that would help so much. We started out with funds of approximately $29,000 in the account. I'd like to report, even though what I report, we're ending and starting this year with $28,000 in the account. Now, how did we accomplish that? To start with, I have with me, if you care to peruse this is a list of some of the accomplishments that have been created over the past year. We've purchased tents, we've been a part of the Blooms and Bluegrass event, supplied folks to be a part of that as musicians and as street entertainers. We've completely revamped our offices. We've gone through all of our paperwork and caught everything up to date. We've put new office furniture in there. We've created, as you can tell in the entryway here, this is our first attempt at doing an ever-changing art demonstration throughout the city. Both local artists and schools and all are providing the artwork for that, and that's, I believe, every 3 months we do a rotation on that. We did the Dragonfly Project. I don't know if you remember that. That was part of Blooms and Bluegrass. And we were able to connect with all of the downtown businesses again during the course of the year. They backed us 100%. We were able to actually make a profit off of the sale of the butterflies, or the dragonflies. As part of our public service to Sweetwater, the sound system you're using right now, I was able to somewhat design and install, paid for the equipment, and the rest of it was all on SBCA, getting it together and all. We turned around and did the very same thing for Brown Intermediate. Their theater was in really disrepair, and I spoke with the principal there, and we did a sound system down there that has them up and running. We're doing the same with the elementary school, and the theater there, we have the sound system functioning again. It needs to be upgraded, but we have big aspirations on what kind of programs we want to put in there. We're already planning ahead on who we're bringing in. Like I said, we connected with the merchants. We've also connected with the local media. I'll tell you, our local radio station has done a wonderful job on advertising for us, as well as the Advocate Democrat did a wonderful spread on our program for Christmas down at Willow Creek. We have started and operating a fundraising campaign, which now that we're legal, we're trying to create more funding. So that's underway as we speak. We'll also be applying for some grants. We've had some people come forward requesting grants. So that's being researched right now. To do that, we had to basically recreate the board. The board was not very active in participating. They were there to be there to support, but they never really carried any weight as far as running the different committees involved. So we've broken the board out into grant committees, program committees and all, and getting them active. We've also added board members. So that's coming along. And we were able to supply some of the schools each with funding this year for some of their trips and all. So all in all, for a year that we had relatively zero income, working off a budget that really was really tight, we accomplished, I think, quite a lot. And hopefully moving forward next year, we have the support of Sweetwater in continuing that. Really appreciate our officers here. I really appreciate the community at large for supporting us the way they did. Anybody come down to our Christmas program by chance? Anybody make that? I know one person did. I know two did. I have to hand it to the tenacity of the business owners here, because December 11th was not a very good day. That was the day that it was stormy and miserable, and at 3 o'clock it was supposed to stop raining. At 3 o'clock it stopped raining. We didn't call it off. And we had a lot of people come, and the program went on just as planned. So I'm getting a lot back from the citizens, and we're trying to turn around and give a lot back to the citizens. So I guess that catches you up to date on what we're doing. If you have any questions, I'd happily answer anything.
Tim, I know there's been some conversation in the past about integrating more into school programming. Is that a possibility, or is it just the curriculum nowadays is so stringent that they have very little time?
I've come up with two opportunities, okay, and I did, there's a board person just coming on now. We're trying to create a drama team to create programs for theater. But I understand that because of funding or whatever, we have lost our art teachers and our music teachers in some of the schools. So I'm trying to find a way that we're able to get grants together to at least bring in part-time instructors. I'm working through the principals because they're the ones who know, allocate the time and be able to manipulate the scheduling in school where we don't lose any time for education-wise, but actually add arts in to the program. So those are the two areas there.
Okay. So
we're also picking up
implementing some of those programs.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're also implementing now, we're not just schools, we're looking at seniors and what to do with seniors. And again, it's a process. As the city grows, we want to grow too.
Okay.
That answered part of my question, but what kind of events do you plan for this upcoming year?
Well, right away, we've got Dr. McCampbell. You know he's on board. We're also, I'm the tech director at the Tellico Village Theater. And I was talking with Glenn Willis, and they're willing to come in. We'll be doing a fundraising and funding with a mystery dinner fundraiser that we're putting up in one of the churches here. It's programs like that. We're again involved in Blooms and Bluegrass, and we'll be bringing in street performers and so on. And we'll have our new tent up there and really front and center.
You had mentioned also the additional use of the Sweetwater Elementary Broad Street Theater. You had some plans for bringing folks in?
Oh yeah, definitely. So Alice and I have really connected well, and I'm pretty much getting the theater back into shape to be able to do that. And we have an agreement in SVCA can use the facilities as long as we pay certain custodial fees and all. That's going to take care of a big problem with the budget. And then bringing in things, I know like MACA brings in Missoula, there are a lot of other organizations that would come in and teach our children, whether that's children's programming or adult programming. It's just a question of getting the funds for it.
Is there any ideas you can give us of who you're thinking about bringing in for the Broad Street Theater?
Wouldn't dare. Not at this point. Not at this point. You know, it's until it's all.
No teasers or anything? To help with funding?
Well, Tellico Village is doing it for free. They're coming to help us for free. I'm seriously looking at some of the acts that usually wind up over at Dollywood. And we have a whole community over here that a lot of them can't even afford to go there. So what I'd like to see is I'll be contacting some of the production houses. I did this on the West Coast. Contacting some of the production houses, see if they have organizations that go out into the populace at a reduced cost and bring those kind of programs here. There's all kinds of, I know opera would not be a favorite in the city, but I also know that possibly country and jazz and bluegrass and rock and all of that is still quite viable and can be used in that facility. So it's just a question now of seeing where the city stands on support for SPCA and to see if we're moving forward, if we can move forward at the pace we want.
Well, it sounds like you got the program going back strong again, and we certainly going to try to help you out on it.
Appreciate that. You have no idea. Thank you. Any other questions? Okay. Well, you all know where I live, down in the office there. Stop in anytime and we'll talk.
Thanks, Tim.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Good job. We appreciate people like you taking a stand and kind of taking the reins and going with it. And anytime you need anything from the city as far as the city board is concerned, why, I think you'll find we're 100% behind you.
Thank you, sir.
Speaking for myself, and I think the commissioners also. So thank you for your work. Look forward to, several years ago, we had people performing at the gazebo and the duck park. They would come in summertime, and anytime we can help you with something like that, why, we've got a good stage down there at the duck park, and usually a good turnout, so.
That's in the mix. I didn't actually mention that, but we have hunters also, the space behind hunters, gazebo, duck park, all of that. And we're looking at getting funding to bring in different groups and do a summer music campaign. Until that's really gelled, I don't want to, really promise anything.
Okay, thank you, Tim. Our workshop session had the quarterly report from our recorder. She requested we vote to write off, if you'll remember, the uncollected property taxes that did not sell at the tax sale for year 2004-29, so that we can get them back on the tax roll. Is there a motion to write off the $14,956.50 left for 2004 through 2009 property tax unsold?
Second.
Motion been made and second. Any discussion on this? Everybody know what we're...
Just to bring me up to par here, 2004, 2009, why just 5-year section?
We're only allowed to collect back property taxes for 10 years. That's what the state statute law allows, so I can't do, and they have to be a year delinquent, so that takes us back to 2009, basically. So that's why it's 2004 to 2009. We have some unpaid taxes that never sold at multiple tax sales that we've tried to sell them at. So they've either been given over to the county, and the deed's actually in the county's name, or we can't collect them anymore anyway. So we want to write these off so that we can get them back on the tax roll and start collecting taxes again. Hopefully, they'll be sold in the next tax sale if they haven't paid taxes after 2009. But these are balances that we're not legally allowed to collect anymore anyway.
Any other question? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise, motion does carry. We advertised for the equipment required on the Tourism Enhancement Grant project to reopen the train car and make it available to ADA accessible. There was one bid that we received from the Accidentally Professionals. The total without tax is $16,111. $16,111. Do I hear a motion to accept this bid?
I make a motion to accept the bid.
Second.
Motion's been made second. Any discussion on this?
Is this electric or hydraulic?
Oh my.
Is this electric or hydraulic?
I think it's electric, yeah. It's electric with a battery backup, it looks like. And I did send the specs to several services, and we only got one bid on it, which I'm not really surprised about, but we had a couple different services pick it up and run it, so I know that the word got out about it, but this was the only bid that we received back. And I have sent the drawings to the guys in the street department that are working on it, and they, they can make it, they can adapt it, because they will be doing the installation on this. And it does include the shipping, but that price has gone up several $1,000s since last fall, so I would prefer that we go ahead and move forward with it. The balance in this grant is around $60,000, and we knew this would be our biggest ticket item. and that grant is I think we only have a 10% match on this grant. I think the state pays the other 90%.
Mayor said something about taxes. Would they cover this tax on the
They did
ATM?
put tax on the bid, so I probably just have to submit them tax exempt, and we won't be paying the tax. It'll be the $16,111, the price before taxes.
Anything else? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise, motion does carry. We also discussed in the workshop disposing of the old fire truck as a trade-in on the used ladder truck we are acquiring. Is there a motion of disposal?
I'll make the motion to do this.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion about this? John, you have any comments you want to make? Same as last workshop. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise, motion does carry. We also discussed the firefighters hiring grant in the workshop. Commissioner Richardson.
Let me, before we go to these next two here, which both concern the fire department, the grant for, the Safer Firefighter Grant, if we get it, will be available to use until August, is that right? Yes, sir. So, we're looking at that grant for some attrition that we expect maybe through retirement firefighters, which we have, if we do get the grant 3 years to use it, we can take care of that in itself. So we would like to apply for that. But I want everybody to know, as we move to the next item on the agenda, that hiring there will not be covered by the Safer Firefighter Grant. It will be two separate hires, one we need to do now.
We'll take them both separate. On the first one, do I hear a motion to apply for the grant for the firemen?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made second. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise, motion does carry. Also, Commissioner Richardson has asked in the workshop, this is one he was talking about that we paid from the city, to promote a part-time fireman to a full-time position, adding another fireman to the employment. It will be a floater on day shift, keep pace with inspections and ISO recommendations. Do I hear a motion to hire?
So moved.
So,
Any discussion? All in favor, aye. Opposed likewise, motion does carry. We have ordinance number 996 to rezone 2 residential properties near Bellamy's store back to R3, which was reviewed in the workshop, and this has been recommended by the Planning Commission. Is everybody aware behind Bellamy's store what we talked about in the workshop? All right. Do I hear a motion?
Make a motion for the acceptance of ordinance 996 to amend property from C4 to R3.
Is there a second? Roll call vote.
Commissioner Hughes. Commissioner Mosier.
Aye.
Commissioner Richardson.
Aye.
Commissioner West. Commissioner Stockton.
We now have ordinance number 997 to rezone the area where the dinner bell and beyond behind it sits as per requested by the ownership. And I might add that Mr. Mullenhour was going to be here, and he called in a few minutes ago and he's stuck in traffic on the interstate, and he would not be able to be here. But we talked about this, he was here during the workshop, so therefore we pretty well all know what it's all about. Do I hear a mission? Do I hear a motion on ordinance number 997? Thank you, Omar.
I make a motion to approve it.
Okay.
Second.
Any discussion? All right. All in favor, aye? All roll call vote on this too.
Commissioner Hughes? Commissioner Mosier?
Aye.
Commissioner Richardson? Commissioner West? Commissioner Stockton?
Our workshop session appointed a committee to negotiate an agreement with John Cleveland to continue in a part-time employee capacity as city attorney. We put a new draft. We appointed a committee to talk with John and make some changes, and I'm sorry I didn't get to say it in on, but Buster and Lamar and Sam did. Sam, do you have any comment or anything you want to add to this that would change? Is everybody pretty well aware of the changes that has been made and everything? Okay, Bill's not, so, you want to?
I think one of the main concerns was the benefits and vacation. That was altered. Wasn't 2 weeks. It was just based on six days to match basically the time in and time off. That was adjusted. As far as some of the coverage of the city versus for the requirements as far as your board, Lexus, can't remember the other item.
The two required certifications that John has to have in order to be able to operate, those would be covered by the city. The other fees would be determined by the budget. So every year when we pass the budget, we're gonna give the legal department a certain budget and whatever you all determine from that. The 21 hours a week is the working schedule. He'll be here at City Hall at meetings or representing the city in some way. We do not have to provide health insurance to John. We continue providing TCRS retirement. So most of the things that were changed in the contract were fairly minor. We also said that it would be a two-way street. If he decided to resign at any time, he would give us a 60-day notice. If we decided we didn't want to employ a part-time city attorney anymore, we would give him a 60-day notice. So it's going to be 60 days both ways. So all of those were elements that we negotiated and came to a agreement on.
The item of the 9 months that was in there, that was stricken and changed to the
60 days.
60 days as well. I think we hit all the marks and questions that we had.
So John, you're okay with the changes that's been made on it, and I think commissioners.
Let me say this. I don't know how much we'll save or how much extra we will spend. I know John would be able to help us in the street department. We've had a big controversy about right-of-ways and about walls. And this thing has come up, and then we have this lady or this gentleman talking about, well, that's your wall, no, that's mine. That would help us considerably to get an answer before we start tearing a wall down, and so far it's worked out good as the city attorney. My question on this was, and I've been assured, and that's no disrespect to John in any way, I did not want to see the city attorney get any benefits that the other employees do not get. And I've been assured of that, so I plan to vote for it.
Okay. All right. And another thing coming up too, we met, TMG committee met the other day, and Mark Mimenthal, he says there are definitely some places that we can use John. Am I correct on the phrase that normally we would have to hire him for? So seems like he's gonna fit right in from the get-go. Oh, when does this start?
Well, the contract itself says it starts the Monday after the last, either you or I sign it, but,
Okay.
so we'll sign it. I know Jessica wanted me to be on board by the 1st of March, and of course, I've got a lot going on close up my office. And so it'll be this probably toward the end of the month, something like that. In the meantime, we'll be moving some furniture around and such,
So target date March 1st?
something like that.
Okay, good deal. Any other questions? Bill, does that answer?
Yeah, John, I'd like to say glad to have you.
Yeah. Okay, let's vote. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise.
Did we get a motion?
Oh, did we get a motion?
I don't have a motion, so let's do that.
I thought somebody, okay.
Who said they did?
I do.
Motion been made and
Second.
second.
Billy, when you seconded.
We've already voted, so we're all.
John, we're excited. Just jumped the gun.
I tell you,
The mayor, I think, has some concerns about, what I'd be doing for 21 hours, and I've got some concerns that this could turn into 40 or 50. And by the way, it wasn't mentioned, but additional time will be comp time. I mean, what's going into the contract for money, it will be the money. Of course, I might not be here all the time, every time, because I'll be using some of that comp time.
Would it be based on the time?
Based on the time, any time over the 21 hours.
Yeah.
okay. Them Benadryls get to you after a while.
We're almost there, Mayor.
Plus I left my glasses at home too, so I'm.
Oh, you're doing good then.
Okay, thank you, Commissioners. TML contacted us last week, and we want to consider to pass a resolution that's going to benefit us, and I'm going to let Jessica fill you in because this is going to be money in our pocket when we pass it.
So TML, Tennessee Municipal League, they're our lobbyists for cities, for all the cities in Tennessee with the state legislature. And they have people who pay attention to legislation to tell us when it's going to affect municipalities, and then they also have people who will research and say, what kind of new legislation do we need to help cities out? So Sonia and I watched the video today, and mostly I had Sonia watch it so she could confirm that what I thought it was saying was what it was saying, and we both think that this is what it means. TML's asked us, I'll give you a little bit of history on it. Starting in the 1940s, the state started something with sales tax called state shared sales tax. So that meant everything that was bought in a local jurisdiction, they would share part of that sales tax with the local jurisdiction that it was bought in. So in 2002, they had a budget crunch, and they raised state sales tax from 6% to 7%. That 1% that they raised it, they did not share any of that with the local jurisdictions. So counties and cities don't get any part of that 1%. By the way, that little 1% has garnered the state $838 million since they passed it. So that 1% is not chump change. And that was 100% kept by the state. They also increased the single article cap from $1,600 to $3,200, meaning when someone purchases a large item like a car or a boat or an RV or something like that, instead of only paying sales tax on the first $1,600, the state raised it to where it would be $3,200. On that second $1,600, so the gap that goes from $1,600 to $3,200, again, they did not share any of that with the local government. So if someone comes in and buys a boat in Sweetwater, the customer pays up to $3,200 value of that boat in sales tax. The state only shares the first $1,600 with us instead of the entire $3,200. So what TML is proposing is two things. One, they want to restore the sharing for that 1% portion and increase the single article cap for local governments up to the full $3,200. So let me point out, this is not raising anything on the consumer. The customer is not paying any more sales tax than what they pay right now. What TML is proposing is that because the state has had a surplus now for almost 8 years in their budget, that they start sharing that revenue with the cities again for that full amount instead of just the lower 6%. So they are asking each city in Tennessee that's a member of TML to pass this resolution saying, hey, we'd really like all of the sales tax shared with us instead of just a portion of it. And then they're going to compile them all together and take them to state legislature and try and get somebody to sponsor a bill and get it through. This is nothing that's gonna happen overnight, just because this resolution, nothing actually happens. But this is us saying, yeah, we do think the state should share all sales tax from every purchase that is inside the city limits of Sweetwater. We think we should get a portion of it. And again, right now we only get it on the bottom 6% and on the first $1,600 on large items. And what we're asking is, give us the state share on the full 7% and on the full $3,200 in single item cap. So I made some notes. If anybody wants to read those, they're more than welcome to. But that's what this resolution does. And they're trying to get it in February. They're trying to get all these passed in February to where they can take them for the spring legislation sessions. Does anybody have any questions? I'm not guaranteeing I can answer them, but I can try.
That sounds reasonable. Do I hear a motion to adopt this resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Any more discussion? If not, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise, motion does carry. Our adventure tourism district is up for recertification, and we would like to expand the district to include the Main Street District as requested in their last meeting. We are required to submit a partial map, an updated business plan, which is in your packet, and a resolution to requalify and to expand the district. As you may remember, new businesses who meet qualifications for investments and numbers of employees inside the district can receive state credit. And we've had several people to use those, I think. Did Weigels, did they?
Weigels applied for it, but I don't know if they qualified.
Yeah.
I think McKeever did end up,
McKeever,
RV
yeah.
and Marine, they ended up qualifying. Hopefully we'll be able to file that. Basically, it can waive their entire state franchise and excise taxes for up to, I can't remember if it was 6 years or 10 years, but it can be a significant amount. It doesn't cost the city anything, but they have to be located inside that adventure tourism district. So Main Street in our last meeting asked for us to expand that to include Highway 11 so that they could be part of that also. Right now, it has just been Highway 68, so.
Now it can be downtown Main Street. Do I hear a motion to expand the adventure tourism district?
So moved.
Motion's made and second. Any discussion, any questions on this? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise. Motion does carry. Tully, you getting all this?
I've said it.
Finally, we have purchased a drone in the police department. Last month, 2 employees received the FFA license to operate these drones. We are adding it to the insurance coverage, but a formula policy has to be required and adapted. The police department has edited a model policy, which we have, it's in your packet, and we need to formally adopt this. I think that's a good thing, Eddie. Drone, you know, we've talked about drones several times.
And I'm very excited to be able to add one for the city, Mayor, if I could. The drone that we were able to purchase has thermal imaging, and it does have in the hospital and nursing facilities. You know, if anybody gets out and gets lost or anything like that, it'll help us pick up the thermal imaging. As well as, you know, like, I talked to Richard a little bit about, you know, the street department, they've got places they work on easements. We'll be able to assist in that of taking photos. And of course, the fire department, you know, if they've got a fire or something, we can put it up and it'll show the hot spots. So we hope to be able to use it for every department there is in the city, you know. That's,
I think that's excellent, yeah. Drones are very handy. And I'm sure you all will be using them too. Do you hear a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Motion's been made and second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed likewise. You got a drone. Who's the 2 officers that operate?
it'd be John Scruggs and Sergeant Franco.
Okay.
John Scruggs.
And Franco.
Is there anything else needs to come up before the commission? Thank you for being here. Good to have Buster back with us too. He's been under the weather a little bit too. It's good to see him. Good to see all of you. Thank you, and we are adjourned.